Hi, I'm Tony Russo, and this is In Case You Missed It from Kates-Boylston for the week ending Friday, November 22nd, 2024. I rarely suggest that you watch instead of listen to this weekly episode, but if you want to check out the YouTube video this week, there was a spider that climbed up my camera halfway through, and I decided to leave it in because the rest of the report was fine. Just the spider made a cameo. And so if you want to swing over to YouTube, you'll get a chance to see what it looks like. And also for regular watchers, I want to acknowledge the fact that my studio is under construction. So yes, I do have some curtains behind me. It'll probably be 2 or 3 weeks. I'm redoing the entire studio here at In Case You Missed It Central, and hope to debut my new studio in the new year. If I can do it beforehand, that would be fantastic. But let's get into it. First up, Matthews International has released its fourth quarter fiscal numbers for 2024 and will be shortly releasing its full year analysis in a call on Friday morning, the 22nd. So as you're listening to this, or maybe even if you listen to this when it first comes out, then in another couple hours, Matthews will be making his earnings call. I'll be on the call and I will report on that call and send my report to Funeral Service Insider subscribers, probably late tomorrow afternoon, depending upon how the day shakes out. But for now, I can just give you the brief rundown that they have sent out via email. In memorialization, the memorialization sector benefited from recent acquisitions and improved price realization and a return to normalized death rates. And this I thought was interesting. We had a conference a couple weeks ago at in Houston, Texas, the Advances in Funeral Innovations Conference. And one of the speakers was Welton Hong, who talked about not looking so hard at year-to-year numbers, but now that the full pull-forward effect is kind of over, you should be looking at what you were doing in 2019. So based on 2019 numbers, which is what Matthews essentially was saying, they are up over pre-COVID numbers and expect to continue that way. One of the big announcements was that they actually increased their dividend, which means that they expect to make a lot of profit in 2025. And like I said, I'll have plenty more on that tomorrow. I will give you the memorialization numbers in the fourth quarter for 2023. They had $204 million, almost $205 million in sales. And this quarter, the fourth quarter 2024, they had about $197 million in sales. So that's down. Same thing year to date. They are down from $843 million to $829 million. Now, usually when you see numbers drop like this, they're not accompanied by a dividend increase. But as we've been reporting for the last couple of weeks, acquisitions are going to be on everyone's table. It's not just because interest rates are softening, although that doesn't hurt, but there's also a sense of all of these funeral directors are retiring. And just like we say to families that if you don't pre-need, you're going to get caught short at the end. A lot of funeral directors funeral homeowners are finding that they don't have a strong enough succession plan. And when they want to get out, they need someone who can provide cash and stability going forward. And it's harder and harder to find individuals like that at a kind of last minute notice. Like if you want to retire next year and you don't already have a plan in place, it's probably too late, or you will be selling to one of the consolidators. And now there are consolidators of all sizes. And in this week's FSI out yesterday, we had a nice chat with Will Andrews from Anthem, and all of we'll call them smaller consolidators, are also looking for a big year next year. So it's not just, Matthews and Park Lawn and Carriage and SCI that's out there shopping. These smaller consolidators, these larger funeral home groups or smaller consolidators are also out on the market. It's going to be a really interesting 2025, as I said in this week's editorial, which you can find in the show notes. I know I was not the only one to get what could be considered a weird email from the Federal Trade Commission. The Federal Trade Commission this week reported that they've been doing some more digging into the calls that they made earlier this year when they were trying to show that funeral home operators weren't doing a good job in meeting the funeral rule requirements when they were answering the phone. I'm going to do a bigger deep dive on this. It's not going to be we're coming up on Thanksgiving week. No one's answering their phone, probably including me. So we're not really going to be able to get our teeth into this until in early December. But if you don't have a copy of the report, you can find it. There's a link in the show notes. The upshot from my perspective is that the fiat to put prices online is coming down. If you don't have your prices online and you think that you won't have them online this time next year by federal rule, you are almost certainly mistaken. This has this news release and the accompanying hubbub have all the earmarks of building the case so that when they say you have to put your prices online, no one's going to be surprised. I mean, as you're listening to this, they might put it out this afternoon. That's unlikely, but it is likely that it's coming soon, and it is likely that if you're not prepared, it's going to be difficult. Next week in FSI, you will find links to all of our shows and all of our reporting surrounding the solutions for having your GPL online. And that might help if you're shopping around, because if you don't have a system, it's probably time to get one, I guess, is the short version. And if you're going to go in and have your GPL online, you may as well make the investment and have something where people can do a chunk of their arranging online. It's not even the way of the future. It's the way of the past for almost every industry besides death care. It is the wave of the now for death care. It's only a matter of time. If people can't get it online, they're just going to keep clicking until they can. And again, links to everything you need in the show notes as always. A small funeral home group in Lebanon, Pennsylvania is among the properties that are trying to be salvaged by the Porterfield Scheid Management Company as it files bankruptcy, Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection from its creditors. And this, I think, goes very well with the Matthew story and some of the commentary surrounding that, because it says in the story, link in the show notes, that the funeral homes are plenty profitable. They are just over-leveraged with some of their other properties, and they're hoping to refinance their debt and come out just as strong. But again, the larger point is that the funeral homes are solvent and are expected to stay so. Again, 2025 is going to be a really, really interesting year for all of the reasons that we continue mentioning. We've got funeral home owners retiring, and we've got some liquidity opening back up, but we also have people who, like in Porter Scheid Management Company, who are feeling a little bit of the squeeze from other investment issues that might make it harder. In this instant, it is genuinely one of the partners got very sick and couldn't work, and the lack of partner made it sent the company into debt. They expect to turn it right around, but it was something that I just wanted to put on your radar because of all of the reports on the different consolidators and their plans for 2025. This is a funeral home group that is struggling a little bit, but is completely confident that they're going to be able to come back. And it's not a mislaid confidence. There is something more afoot in death care as companies start to catch up. I think technologically and socially catching their breath, honestly, following COVID, and link in the show notes. And of course, on the other side of bankruptcy, sometimes you just go out of business and stay there. The owner of a shuttered Chicago tombstone company is facing new allegations in a lawsuit filed by members of her own family who claim she stole company assets to fund a lavish lifestyle. More than 125 families in the Chicago area have accused Gast Monuments of fraud. The horror of this, there was one person who gave them $300,000 to build a mausoleum, and everyone might just be out of their money. So in the last story, I reported that, there's a company who hopes to find their way out of bankruptcy. But if this company shutters, all of the people who paid all of that money for monuments are just out of luck. And again, it's a bad look for everyone. This is a story that I think you're going to see a lot more of, because among the accusations is she was bragging about it on social media, that is using company funds for lavish trips and for big purchases, and putting it all on Instagram. And as much fun as it looked like at the time, I wonder how it's going to look in court. And I wonder how it's going to look to the families who don't get any headstones, but can, look at this this monument company owner's last several vacations. So link to the story in the show notes. Again, this is something I think that we are going to see more reporting from Kates-Boylston on this, and certainly it's going to enter the zeitgeist before too long. If you haven't heard about it already, you heard about it on In Case You Missed It. Something a little lighter this week, and this is something that it's unlikely that you missed because it was all over the place online. There is a funeral home in Japan that has opened a coffin cafe, and it is some coffins that they have laid out that people can come and lay down in the coffin and think about how they want their funeral to be. And mixed in with that, Titan Caskets got recognized earlier this week as well by Ad Age for their interesting, maybe some might say aggressive, I've said aggressive, marketing campaigns. But the fact is that people are on the verge. There are people who are ready to be comfortable talking about death, and there are people who are less so, but there are fewer of them. So innovative ways of getting people to start to talk about planning their funeral are worth looking into. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to set a casket outside of their funeral home for people to come and take a rest in. But I am saying that I'm going to try to start sharing more of these international kind of off-kilter stories about ways that other cultures are addressing the gap in people's ability to connect with death care. I think that there may be more of a messaging problem than an interest problem, and we will know for sure before too long. There's a spider. I don't know if you can see the spider, so I'm going to keep talking as if you can't see the spider. If you can't see the spider, I'm too far in the clip to redo it, so link in the show notes. That will do it for this week. In Case You Missed, it has been a Kates-Boylston production. It was written, edited, and videoed by me, Tony Russo. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening now, or follow if you're on Apple. If you're on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the little ring-a-ling-ding button up top, and you'll be notified when these come out. They come out usually on Friday mornings. They will not come out next Friday morning. Next Friday morning and next Thursday are Thanksgiving, and the morning after Thanksgiving, I will be unavailable for making videos. But I will be back on the 5th with plenty of more reports. But until then, you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Let's have a fantastic winter holiday season, and take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time.